Welcome to The Change Agent, the podcast that aims to help you become a more effective leader, smarter project manager, and a high-impact contributor to your organization. Each and every episode gives you actionable strategies and perspectives in leadership, project management, and team building so that you and your team can deliver real value, exceed expectations, and rise above the rest. Follow me every week for new content. I hope you're looking forward to today's episode as much as I am, so let's get ready and let's lead. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of season 2, and we are back. Man, it's been a while since we had an episode. I know in the previous sessions I said follow me every week, but man, it's been busy. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. We're back, and I am super excited about today's episode because it really talks about something that is impactful to your projects. And it's actually one of the things that have kept me from creating podcasts over the last month or two. It's rhythm. So today we're going to be talking about something that can make your management experience that a calm thing that you experience, or it could be something that makes it super stressful. And this is setting your program management rhythm. Now, in the last episode, when we talked about getting everything in order and project management in action and having everything in place and all that stuff, that's all great. But what you need to remember is that as you move out of that planning phase and you're initiating and you're moving into execution, you need to really come in and set a rhythm. You need to have the beat down. You know what I mean? If you go to a nightclub and you're dancing around and that beat's unpredictable, dancing's no fun and you'll look bad. And the same thing applies to project management in a way. And if you've ever felt like your projects or your teams were kind of pulling you in all different directions, then that would be a good indication that your rhythm is out of sync. Like you don't have a rhythm. You need one. You really do. The rhythm of project management, the rhythm that you set, it brings order to the chaos. It gives your team the ability to have predictability in that team, and allows you as a leader to stay ahead of always trying to catch up and see what's going on. So let's talk about rhythm and why it matters. Okay, so every successful program manager has a rhythm. Some of them, they'll call it a cadence. Some of them will call it tempo. So whatever it is that you call it, it's about setting that steady beat, that steady rhythm for how your team is going to plan, execute, and how it's going to report out of its deliverables. Remember that without a rhythm, a meeting or activities, they can feel really random. Nobody likes coming into a situation where things just pop up out of thin air, and we call it getting sniped. Things feel very unpredictable. Updates are scattered and untrackable. People don't know what to expect, and so these things just really drive stress, and that really will lead to burnout and confusion. And with rhythm, though, your team will start to know when to bring issues forward. They'll know what's coming up in the next couple of days or the next week or next month or even next year. They'll know when to expect a decision point. They'll know when things are going to get done. They're going to know how the progress will be measured. And it's just really a much better environment when you have a way to implement and show your rhythm or your cadence, whatever it is you're going to call it. Think of it like this. Without a beat, music is just noise, right? It's just with rhythm, everyone's in sync. It's just, kind of common sense. So let's talk a little bit about building your core cadence. Now, rhythm in practice should be setting your touch points, about setting up meetings and having things out and your routine out in display. Okay. So for example, there are certain things that you can do to go ahead and start establishing a rhythm. The simplest one is, hey, every week we're going to be having a check-in. These check-ins, we've called them team syncs or daily stand-ups or whatever it is you want to call them. In safe Scrum Agile framework right now, they're called team syncs. These are the short 15-minute check-ins that are done daily. And you want to keep these types of meetings, regardless of whether you're using Agile or predictive, you're going to want to keep these check-ins, and we'll call them that for now, short and very focused. And these things should align the team on what priorities they have, what risks are out there, what blockers they have, and then you go off and remove all of those things, right? Give them the resources they need to be successful and removing the risks and blockers. Another one you could do is is monthly reviews. You can step back, you can look at metrics, budgets, milestones, overall progress, and having these set up on a monthly review where you could go back and making sure that on the schedule it's listed that on this day we're going to have a program management review, a PMR, on this day every month. And then you break that out even further into quarterly strategy sessions. So maybe every quarter you're going to do something, and maybe this will be your upper management review or whatever you want to call it. And here, whether you're doing it with upper management or you're just doing it with your own program, this would be a really good point for you to kind of get a really high level of detail. So are we still on track with value delivery, or do we still look like we have everything in order? Are we going to be delivering deliverables when we think we will be? Do we need anything? Do we have anything we need to pivot on? Is this a kill point? So when you're looking at the weekly stuff, you're really down in the weeds. These are the day-to-day activities. When you go to the monthly level, this is the program management level, like at the first line management level, right? What are our metrics? What's our budget? What are our milestones, etc. When you get into the quarterly part, these are your like upper level, executive level management meetings where you're going to be talking about the things that they care about. And then the last part is you want to visually display these things. So here, the key is availability. Having these schedules available to the people on the team. This has to be somehow given to them where they can get to this. Now, this could be something where you've got them physically posted on a piece of paper on a wall somewhere in the office, or they're digitally posted online or on your SharePoint or wherever it is on a calendar or something, that so people that can know what's coming up where, when, how, what the topics are going to be, et cetera, et cetera. And that helps you to define that the idea that meetings are no longer going to be these interruptions, and they start to become these opportunities for the team to sync up and discuss what really matters to them. Now, we've had previous podcasts in the past where we talked about structure of meetings and making sure that we stay on point and all that stuff. And we can talk more about that later, but you really want to focus on making sure that you stick to those talking points in the meetings that you're doing. All right. So the third part that we want to talk about is leading through rhythm. Now, as a program manager, you're going to be setting that beat, right? You're going to be saying the tempo or the cadence that we're going to have is that every week we're going to do this, every month we're going to do that, every quarter we're going to expect these things. And sticking to that ensures that you demonstrate that leadership is in you demonstrate leadership in three key ways. First, you're delivering to your team the idea that you're predictable. And remember, and I've said before, predictability is vital for a strong team outlook. If you have a team that cannot predict what's going to happen, then this ambiguity is going to kill everything. I've talked about that before. Next, you're going to want clarity. You want to make sure that everyone knows what is expected, when it is due, and how it's going to be reviewed, whether this is a quality review, a status review, a performance review, not in terms of the individual's performance. Maybe that's one, but in terms of, does the software perform? Maybe it's a testing meeting, right? So whatever it is, you want to be clear about what it is you're going to be looking at and talking about during that meeting. And you're going to want to make sure that there's accountability. And by having a clear cadence, deadlines are not abstract, where these, these things are, it is whatever, whenever it happens. They're tied to real check-ins and real reviews. And so remember, it's not, the idea that this is going on is not about being a micromanager. We don't want to do that. But you need to set the rhythm so that people can understand what's going to happen when. It's really pretty simple, to be honest. And it's about creating that structure so that your team can focus on delivering the things they need to, and they will hold themselves accountable. If you have a good team and you've got good leaders, they'll hold themselves accountable to those points where you're going to be doing check-ins, and they'll be ready, right? And if they're not, I'm sure you'll take care of it. Now, what kind of tools and rhythm techniques could you use for developing and maintaining this rhythm? Well, let's talk about some of those tools, because rhythm is really going to be supported by the systems that you have in place. And here are a few ways that you can go about reinforcing that. One way I do this is I use digital dashboards and visuals. Like, I like to have dashboards constantly displayed in a room somewhere. It could be a PMO office, it could be in a conference room, but there's always a schedule displayed on a TV in the office. And you don't have to use a schedule. You could use anything you want. You could use a Kanban board, you could use Gantt charts, you could use things from project management, Microsoft Office project management, Microsoft Project, sorry. Or you can create new dashboards of your own that you have where your team can regularly go to that and see that. Or it might be as simple as, hey, I'm going to create something in Microsoft Outlook and everybody's going to have access to that. You're going to want to make sure as well that you have closed loop communication. Now, we discussed this in previous episodes, but you're going to want to make sure that your information is flowing in two different directions, right? This helps you not only ensure that you're able to disseminate information that you're interested in making sure that people get, but you're also able and enabling them to communicate back to you the things that they think are important. So if you have a dashboard up and you happen to have a meeting that you know that you've posted is going to be in 2 weeks, and it's going to be about, I don't know how long the lunch breaks are going to be, you could produce a Slack channel or some other methods of communication where people can talk about those and kind of discuss that through a forum. And then that'll help generate content for that meeting. So one thing I like to do, let's say we're talking about funding, or we're talking about staffing. And I have some individuals that see this on the schedule and they say, oh, we're talking about staffing next week. I wonder if we could get another software developer. So they would start in the Slack channel specifically for that particular week, or it could be a channel that just says weekly meetings or monthly meetings or quarterly meetings. They start having that topic conversation about staffing. This conversation then gets recorded, or at least the manager myself would look at that and say, hey, the topic we need to be focusing on is staffing. And here goes some really good points that people brought up within the Slack channel or within Teams or whatever method you have to communicate. So that closed loop communication ensures that we have two-way communication. It's all the way a closed loop. And then you're going to want to make sure that you really take advantage of the technology's ability to give you automated reminders of those meetings so that everybody will get a reminder of it, they'll track it, and it'll reduce their need to think about what meetings they have coming up. Because more often than not, I do it as well. I'll get a meeting invite and I'll say, oh, I forgot about that meeting. Really on me, right, to kind of get prepared for that meeting. And now all of a sudden I've got it, whatever. So make sure that when you have reminders set up that they give the individual who gets that the assumption that they forgot, and then it gives them plenty of time to prepare. So maybe a 2-hour meeting reminder ahead of time. A whole day might even be nice. But I think when you go out beyond a few hours, people, if they're really busy, they will forget, right? So the 24-hour, the 2-day ahead of time reminders are kind of useless in my opinion, because in that time frame, that 2 days, you're going to be forgetting. All right, so that's really important that you have those reminders. But the other important aspect about these automated reminders I want to share with you is that you shouldn't let them run you. A lot of times managers will feel like these meetings, once they get placed, they are uneditable, if that's a word. Once these reminders go out and everybody's kind of planning, they get this idea that they can't be changed. But they are. They're not infallible. They can be changed. So don't let the tools that you use define or run you. The rhythm comes from how you lead, not from the software itself. And so what I would suggest is if you're preparing to get a team meeting online and you've got something comes up, you put out an email, of course, and you let everyone know as soon as possible that the meeting has been shifted to a different time. And if that's not a viable solution because it's so soon and the meeting is right around the corner, then the next best thing you can do is have someone who's a deputy or someone to replace you to run the meeting. Okay. And don't cancel it. Just let them know that you couldn't be available but due to an emergency or something else, and you've got the meeting to keep going. Okay. But you don't want to break the rhythm without people knowing. Now, let's talk a little bit about the pitfalls of rhythms. Now, just a warning, too much rhythm can become noise. If you overschedule things, if you overstructure stuff, people are going to become checked out. They're going to say, he's a micromanager. He's always got his thumb on everything. He or she just wants meetings all the time because it makes him feel this way. Or some people have said they want meetings all the time because they know nothing. They don't know what they're doing. And so they need all these meetings to keep themselves engaged. Whatever the cases are, there is a fine balance, right? An economy of scale related to how many meetings you need and how effective they will become, and at what point they become ineffective. And you need to kind of get that balance in there. Meetings can become a drag. I personally don't like meetings. If I don't need them, I cancel them. But if I do need them, I keep them as short as possible. I try to push out talking points before the meeting starts so that people can kind of see what we're going to talk about. And I keep the meetings on track, and then I dismiss the meetings with as few action items as possible. Unless I really need something, will I ask for an action item. So here's a tip. Design the rhythm for purpose, not for activity. It's not about how many meetings you have. It's about the purpose of the meeting. And you can ask yourself the very question, what value does this create for the team and the program? And if it doesn't have value, cut it. Okay, just get rid of it. And so here's a key takeaway as we get ready to close this short podcast, as I get back into the rhythm of doing podcasts. Your rhythm as a program manager sets the tone for the whole entire team. This could be a positive thing. It could be a negative thing. So again, you got to find that nice balance. But if you're running around right now trying to figure out how to squeeze all this stuff in, or meetings are popped up, or you're the gunslinger manager, you're going to want to stop that, because that's creating a lot of stress, ambiguity, and people can't focus that way. You need to have structure. And it's your job to make sure you're creating that. So keep it steady, keep it predictable, and keep it purposeful. Making sure that there's a purpose. The right cadence that you set and the cadence you deliver will align that team naturally. It will drive the accountability of the team, because they're going to start seeing, they're going to know what they want to work on. They're excited about working on it, and they're excited about coming to the demo next week or next month, however often you have those demos. And you're going to keep the program moving forward without the constant chaos of, what are we doing today? What? All of a sudden he needs a meeting? What meeting do we have today? None of that mess, right? And remember that rhythm that you set will define the pressure of your leadership experience and the experience of those that you work with. So make sure that you take the time to get it right. That's it for this episode. If you found it helpful, please subscribe to the podcast and make sure to leave a review. Don't forget to share this show with your friends and colleagues, and provide us some recommendations on how we can improve the podcast. And if you have any specific topics you'd like to discuss, send them our way. If you'd like more information on how to engage with me directly, you can head over to kalina-vision.com. That's KALYN as in Nancy A-vision.com. And you can also catch me on YouTube at Beyond the Glare, or your favorite podcast platform, to learn more and see how we can help you and your team get to the next level. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time.